guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wayne Gaming, and some of you on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Tennis Ace, June's Path. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Sorry, I didn't mean... Hun, it's okay. You don't have to try and cover for yourself or anything of that sort. Anything of the sort. But Come now. You didn't really think you'd manage to convince me of such a transparent lie, did you? Lie? What do you... What, you just suddenly grew tired of tennis, or that you were hiding it this whole time? Sweetie, I love you, but you're not that good of an actor. It's true that you were struggling, but if I thought at any moment that you hated it, I would have said something. At least, now I would. You knew? At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I'm your mother. It's my job to know things. Especially with how often I'm away for work, developing a sharp intuition was an absolute necessity. Otherwise, I'd never know what was going on with you boys. Heh, and you didn't say anything? You're entitled to your own feelings, and to deal with things in your own time, especially after what happened. I know you didn't want to worry your brother and your friends. I won't hold it over you. I wish you didn't feel the need to lie about it, but I wasn't about to call you out on it. Well, except you kinda sorta did, in a roundabout way at least. Woman, you scare me sometimes. Good, that means I'm doing my job. Your job is to scare us? Is that what parenthood was all about? Boy, did I mess things up with Aki. Not that I'm his parent. Not exactly, at least. Is it weird that I'm a bit bitter that you didn't believe me? On what? The tennis lie? Yeah. Well, not really. Besides, I say that you're not that good of an actor, but you were actually surprisingly convincing from what I've seen. I know Akiyoshi fully bought into it. He was even feeling a little bit guilty. Yeah. I might have just had a bit of an advantage compared to the others. After all, I got to follow your journey from the beginning, and from quite close at that. That makes a difference? A big one. I'll admit, at first I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. After your father passed, you became obsessed with tennis, but it didn't seem like you were quite enjoying yourself all that much. Every time I tried to ask you how practice was or how you felt about your matches, you'd always respond with something along the lines of, "Gotta do it for Daddy." It was concerning. I will admit to my own failure on the matter. I was afraid that you were clinging to something that wasn't wholly your own idea because you felt you had to, or something along those lines. I thought I had to do or say something about it, stop you so you didn't burn yourself out, but what? I was still quite raw at the time. Every time you brought Ken up, it disarmed me. All the words I thought I had to say would suddenly escape me, and I'd be left with nothing left in my mind. Wow. I've never heard about any of this before. I didn't know Mom had worried about me so much back then. Considering the fact that she was still pregnant with Aki when I threw myself at tennis, makes me feel guilty for having put her through that kind of worry for no reason. We were both a mess back then, weren't we? That's likely an understatement, but yes. I bit my tongue for way longer than I'd care to admit, though I ultimately didn't regret it. In time, it became quite clear just how much you'd come to love tennis. Not just because of your father, but for yourself. It did? What do you mean? Do you remember when your brother was still little? I think you mean young. He's still little. That's uncalled for, even if true. Still, you and Aki did not get along most times. In fact, it was a bit stunning just how chaotic your relationship used to be. Ugh, I remember that. Those are dark days I never want to go back to, that much is for sure. Having a toddler Aki throwing tantrums whenever I tried to tell him something, ignoring me when I tried to talk, talking over me. He really hated me back then. In fact, I seem to remember him mouthing off at you multiple times about how you couldn't order him around since you weren't his daddy. You seem disturbingly happy over memories of the worst time in Aki and I's relationship. I'm sorry, sweetie. I'm not trying to laugh at your misery. It's just the memory of a 4-year-old running away shouting "not my daddy" over and over while his brother chases him around the house with a wooden spoon is funny. I really don't want to agree with her here as a matter of principle, but I'm afraid I might crack and laugh if I'm not careful. Mom clears her throat, putting a hand on her chest and taking a deep breath, straightening herself on her chair. Sorry, that just came out of nowhere. Where was I? Something about me chasing Aki around with a spoon? Ah, yes, right. As I was saying, you and your brother didn't exactly get along, but I remember right around when Aki started to show an interest in tennis. I brought him with me when it was time to pick you up from practice. You insisted on sticking around for just a few more drills. Your little brother, for all the grief he'd give you the rest of the time, just couldn't keep his eyes off you while you played. The entire time he was watching. He was watching you with this look of fascination, like he had no idea what he was seeing, and he couldn't believe that it was his older brother that he was watching. The same older brother he seemed to resent so much. You really don't have to emphasize how much he didn't like me, Mom. I still remember it. Sorry, my point is, after you noticed Akiyoshi's enthusiasm and his growing interest for tennis, you started to show off to him a lot more. You started to take a lot of joy in playing tennis and having us watch you. After that, I never felt the need to worry about it again. Huh. I don't really know what to say. I don't remember any of this. You'd think that I'd have some memory of it, but it's almost like she's talking about someone else entirely. This all happened, what, 8 years ago? Jeez, it's a whole lifetime ago. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Though, I guess Aki and I started getting along marginally better once he started taking an interest in tennis. Not much I do remember. And one day he did a complete 180 and started clinging to me and calling me Nichan and being all sweet and cute and loving and... Ah! Crap, now I really want to cuddle Aki. I'm remembering just how cute he used to be when he was a kid. Wait, focus. This is an important conversation we're having here. Not the time to be sidetracked. It's so weird, though. I'm racking my brain going over this stuff, but I can barely remember anything. It doesn't surprise me. You were going through a lot at the time. It's not like you had the calmest life. Not that I mind. It's not like there were problems, but... It's not like there were no problems, but I'm happy with the life I led. It's quite sweet of you to say. It does make me a bit relieved to hear. I know it's going to be a big adjustment, but I'll be around every step of the way to help you, sweetie. No matter what path you choose to follow in the future. And you don't have to worry about me telling anyone about your true feelings on the matter. I know you don't want your brother and your friends to worry about you, so I understand why you lied, even if I don't agree with it. Thanks, though not everyone believed me. Oh? I'm still not sure what Saya and Keisuke will think of it. Saya is one of the most perceptive people I know, so I'm not sure I'll be able to fool her. On the other hand, Aki was pretty easy to fool despite how perceptive he usually is. And at the same time, June doesn't seem at all convinced. I was going to add, even though he's the least perceptive person I know, but I'm not so sure I can say that knowing what I know now. Sweetie, I think you're worrying too much. Even if your friend didn't believe you, he didn't say anything about it, did he? Not really. He's probably trying to give you space. At least you know he cares enough to have tact. I'm not so sure that's the case. Sure, he didn't sell me out to the others, but he's been looking at me with a lot of suspicion, not to mention the jabs. I'm pretty sure he wants to bring it up and just doesn't know how. But then again, do I even have a right to complain? I got on June's case a lot when I first realized he was sick, and this isn't all that different. Maybe it's not, but you won't know until you know. And if that's the case, there's no point worrying yourself to death. Why not just assume that things are fine until they're actually proven to not be? That's one way to look at it. Not one I think I could ever employ, though. That kind of positivity is just not something I can do right now. I mean, faking positivity is all fine and good. I'm pretty sure I already managed to fool most of them by doing so. Internalizing it, though? That's a whole different story. No way I can manage that. I'm telling you, things aren't as bad as they might seem. You have people who care about you enough to stick by your side every single day despite everything that happened. I guess that's true. You don't guess. It is true. Now come on, stop gawking at me and eat your food before it gets cold. Yes, ma'am. And thanks. Of course, sweetie. Anytime. Despite the somewhat heavy conversation, the rest of our lunchtime is pleasant enough. Not that there's a ton more conversation to be had. Instead, I spend most of it considering everything Mom had to say to me. Maybe I should give it a try. Maybe I've been worrying too much. Maybe things might work out after all if I accept June's confession. Maybe... God knows there's been a lot of crappy things happening to me lately. It would be nice if at least something good came out of it. Several hours later. Oh God, what is this? I can't believe it. They pulled the most ridiculous cliffhanger. What the hell? What do you mean this is the season finale? How could they do this to me? Fuck! Now I'm gonna have to read the damn manga if I want to know what happens next. No way I can wait for the next season to come out. Also, damn, I only have one show left on my list. Catching up with the stuff I missed while I was in the hospital took way less time than I thought it would. On the upside, it was some pretty nice distraction when I most needed it. All right, time to go for the net. Eh? Huh. That's an unusual time to have someone knocking on our door. Unless someone ordered something. I'm coming! It's June. I unlocked the door, cracking it open to see June standing on the other side. What? June? Oh, I wasn't expecting for you to answer the door. What are you doing here? You didn't show up for class today, and you didn't answer anyone's messages, so I got worried. Oh. Right. I turned my phone off this morning because I was in a bad mood. I completely forgot to turn it back on. Yeah, Shuichi-san tried messaging Akiyoshi to ask about you. He told us you were having a bad day and wanted to be left alone. We were discussing all coming over until then. Then how come you're here? I got worried. You thought I wanted to be left alone and you still came over anyway? I know it sounds kind of bad. I didn't want you to be alone. Huh. Sorry, I can tell you're not at all too happy about this. It's fine. I'm just surprised. You're not usually the type to do things if you think other people wouldn't like it. Yeah, well, there are times when you have to. And I was afraid that... I was really worried about you being alone. Jeez, you don't have to look so worried about it. You're gonna break my heart like that. Fine. You can come in. Thanks, and... Sorry. Sheesh, what's with all the drama? It's not like I'm helpless, you know? I'm not gonna get in an accident again just because I was left alone. And then again, I really have to stop being unpleasant to my friends, so I'll bite my tongue on that. Make yourself at home. Thank you. June pulls his bag strap over his shoulder, lifting it and placing the bag neatly on the floor next to the sofa. Were you watching something over here? Yeah, I was catching up on the shows I fell behind on while I was in the hospital. Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon or YouTube memberships if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!